In this video, I'm going to discuss the basics of how scripts and objects relate and how scripts are used by Unity 3D. Scripts are a very important part of Unity. If Unity were a real engine, scripts would be the fuel. Most everything that makes up a scene in Unity is an object. Objects are basically containers for scripts and components. We can see the relationship when we select an object and view the Inspector tab. The Inspector tab shows us all of the components that an object is comprised of. In Unity, a component is a script that's applied to an object. You'll find that it's common to use these two terms, scripts and components, interchangeably. The built-in scripts and the scripts you add yourself are what define how an object looks, sounds, reacts, and every other bit of behavior in Unity. Let's look at a basic example of an object you're likely already familiar with, a cube. Selecting the cube populates the Inspector tab on the right. The first component is one that all objects have, the transform. The transform controls the position, rotation, and scale of an object. The other components are what really make the object a cube. The mesh filter, which selects a mesh for this object. The mesh render, which is a component that tells Unity to take the mesh defined in the mesh filter and draw it at the position, scale, and rotation defined in the transform. It's important to note that even though these are separate components, there are dependencies between them. As I just described, the mesh renderer relies on a mesh filter and a transform being on the object in order to do its job of rendering. So why not put them all in the same component? While it may make sense in some situations, the system is more flexible with them separate. For example, having the transform separate allows you to have a position without needing to render a mesh. Like in the case of an object that just makes a sound. We would want that sound to come from a specific position, but we don't want to render a mesh along with the object. The last component here is the box collider. This is used in the physics system to detect when another physics object collides with this one. So what makes this object a cube? The scripts. With just a few simple changes, we can turn this cube into a sphere by changing the mesh that's rendered and changing the collider that's applied to the object. And of course, the name. With those simple changes, we've just changed this object from a cube into a sphere. This is the true power of Unity. With these scripts, we can define any object in our scene and have it behave in any way we like. Another important consideration is the order of the scripts. The order that the scripts are defined in the inspector is the order that they will be initialized and updated. This will be more important later when creating our own scripts. But for now, just remember that when each object is created, the scripts are first initialized and then updated in the order defined by the inspector. In this video, I've shown you how objects are comprised of scripts. We can now see that almost everything you do in Unity is controlled by a script, either by the Unity built-in scripts or by the scripts you create yourself. We've also touched on how Unity handles scripts, something we'll get deeper into as the course progresses.